Plug in, turn it up, and rock and roll.
Trying for the stunner, a rock and roll dance is up in time!
A rock and roll dance, power, toughness, and chart-topping speed.
A rock and roll dance is going to win it! 148-1 in the Meadowlands Stage.
A rock and roll dance, now standing at Diamond Creek Farm.
Derick Giwner along with Matt Rose here at DRF headquarters for another edition of the Harness Spotlight, where we're going to focus on Woodbine Mohawk Park for December the 22nd. They have a nice 10-race card on the docket there, including foiled again, making his penultimate start of his career. I think he's going to finish off at the Meadows on December 31st.
That's correct.
And we have a potential Jackpot Hi-5 carryover, and that's what we're going to focus on. It's in race number 10. Going into Thursday night, I believe the carryover's a little over $324,000. Hopefully it lasts till Saturday. It's going to be a mandatory payout with maybe close to $400,000 in extra money, and who knows how big the pool will get.
Yeah, assuming, I guess they're taking a chance by not suspending the bet, so you can still play it up until Saturday. Assuming it makes it to Saturday, yeah, you'd be looking at $400,000 and probably, another $500,000-$600,000 maybe in new money.
I mean, I think a couple of years ago they did it. They got like $2 million in new money. So I guess anything's possible.
Anything is possible, and you know what? They do a good job of carting in overflow fields. As more often than not, you see a 12-horse field, the two trailers
with a 9-2 morning line.
With
favorite.
a 9-2 morning line favorite, and basically a range of 9-2 all the way up to 15-1, which tells you it's a pretty competitive race on paper. Of Not one is 11,500 in the last five, mainly aged overnight, hard knocking horses. There's a 4-year-old in the field, but they're basically these are classy professional race horses here, and obviously you can go a lot of different ways here.
I went back and I watched the replays of most of these horses for their last start, just to see what we're looking at. And of all the replays I watched, only one caught my eye, and we're going to take a look at that replay right here. You're going to see coming around the turn, you're going to have number 4 from this race, which is number 5 there, Bill's Fellas on the lead. Second over was number 12 in this race, which is Shades of Bay. And kind of Shades of Bay kind of gets stuck out there. He really isn't coming. And then I think as the leader gets a little tired, he wins. But I would say Bill's Fella was the most impressive horse, of all these horses in their previous start.
Well, he's definitely the most formful of these horses in his previous start. You see him on the lead. This is one class lower, but we know he's got another class in him, holding pretty safely here. I don't know if you saw the horse on the far side coming or not, but he was pretty much hand driven to the wire. That was Shades of Bay that drifted and kicked in late off a cover. He may be buried in the 12 hole from the second tier in this race, which is one of the reasons why he's not a focal point on my ticket. But I am probably in agreement with you. I do like Bill's Fella. We've seen this horse shuttle back and forth between the United States and Canada for Greg McNair. Came back 2 starts back after a kind of lackluster efforts at the Meadowlands. Really perked up his last couple of starts at Woodbine. 2 back, that was a gutsy effort on the front end to get beat by basically a head and a nose. We saw him last week at one class lower. He bumps back up. This is a good mid-pack post in this bulky field. He's expecting to be forwardly placed with Doug McNair. And he will be my stab with a key on top in the sequence.
I didn't key him on top, but he is one of the 2 horses I have on top for all the reasons Matt said. I think he's the sharpest horse. He's, his efforts have recently been best. He should be forwardly placed. The one I used on top with him, I went with 2 on top. That's number 5. He's a thrill. And if you look back, you were saying he got beat ahead, and the one of the horses he got beat by was He's a Thrill. And going 2 starts back, and I think you're going to get a better price on this horse than you will on Bill's Fella in this particular spot. If you look 4 starts back, raced in a similar class to this one and was a good closing third from an outside post. I think it's a good, nice mid-pack post here. It's a perfect spot. I think it's a high percentage outfit, and I expect this horse to race really well. To me, the 4 and the 5 are the most logical winners for me of the group. There are some horses dropping down, like the 1 is dropping way down, the 9's dropping down, but I don't know. I watched the race from the 1, and the race was a slower time, really didn't do anything spectacular. It didn't make me want to come back and bet this horse next week.
Well, yeah, like you said, the two main drop-down horses, the one Champagne Phil, the 9 Acting Out, who are both on my ticket underneath. Not the best form, but they are getting class release. Champagne Phil is a nice, classy 8-year-old. You've seen him do good work on the smaller tracks, and he is getting some class relief. You figure you can work out some sort of ground-saving trip and maybe shake free and be on the ticket. Acting Out, that was a tough trip last week against better horses. I'm willing to toss that out. Comes from good connections, Richard Moreau, Louis Roy. It's especially at 10-1. He's a little enticing. Hard not to use him. All the horses I'm going to use underneath. I am going to use He's a Thrill underneath. Again with Bills Fell on top. I'm going to use East End. Jonathan Drury for Carmen Osiello always has a pretty live barn. This horse has been right there. He's been close up in his last 3 starts, coming off a couple qualifiers. Doesn't have the greatest win or money profile this year. Only 4 wins, 38 grand in the bank. But his last 3 starts, it would lead me to believe with any sort of live trip he can be in the number. So basically, I don't know how much you're spreading underneath, but I'm just using Bill's Fella, 4 horses by 4 horses, which is Champagne Phil, your horse that you're liking, He's a Thrill, East End Acting Out. In the 4th spots, I'm going to throw in Nickel Bag, who really is kind of off form, but he's just got too much class for me to ignore. From this spot, another horse I can kind of shake free, wouldn't shock me. We've seen this horse bounce back from poor efforts time and time again. And then I'm going to use, I guess, the ever-popular All in the 5th spot, which I don't always like using All, but the ticket is not that expensive. Comes in about $57 and change, I think, for a 20-cent play.
And it's so hard. It's so hard to pick a horse not to finish 5th. I mean, any of these horses could really finish 5th when you think about it. Just walking.
Of course, they could finish 4th, or any horse could finish 3rd. But the ever-popular All in the 5th spot.
Just walking through my ticket quickly, I went 4-5 on top and 4-5 in the 2nd spot. Quite frankly, I would like to play, if I was playing this with my money right now, I would play 4-5 with 4-5 with my 4 horses, and then 4-5 with my 4 horses with 4-5. Just playing the 4-5 in the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd spots. The horses I used in the 3rd spot, Champagne Phil, we talked about dropping in class. The 7 makes some luck. He's missed 4 weeks of action, but I feel like this is a horse that has the ability to do it, and he has the ability to leave, which means he'll be close to the pace. I could see him being involved at what should be a decent price.
I looked at him with Jody Jamieson, only 6 starts this year, making his 3rd start back off a layoff, raced well in his 1st start off the bench, then took a ton of money and really never got involved the last out. Now, like you said, he's missed almost a month, and went off a favorite last week, in a similar class.
Yeah.
So I guess it's.
You said last week. You're getting on me for the 4 weeks, and then you're telling me you raced last week.
I guess I'm trained to say last week, last start.
You're messing up all the people.
So we'll use him in the 5th spot, but it's hard to make a strong case for this horse, making only his 7th start of the year.
Also underneath for me in that 3rd spot, I have the 8 East End, who discussed, brushed, weakened a little, but it's in pretty good form. The 9 Acting Out is going to be in my 4th spot, not my 3rd. I threw in a horse that you didn't. It was just Shades of Bay, who finished just behind Bill Fellow last time. Really, I don't think the horse was great. I think he was kind of gaining, as others were getting tired. He was drifting out and stuff. But still, it was a solid effort in a race where a lot of these horses don't have great form, And so I want a horse that's coming off a decent mile. And if Matt's Nickelback stays close to the action, then he should stay close to the action.
Well, he's definitely playable as long as he doesn't get buried.
So I got a $51.20 ticket. Quite frankly, like I said, I'd like to play it for $102.40 and use the 4 and 5 and
what's stopping you?
The top 3 spots. Nothing's stopping me. Only my wallet is stopping me. The mortgage payment I have to make in a few days stopping me. So Jackpot Hi-5 carryover, if it makes it has to go through Thursday, has to go through Friday, and then on Saturday, if it does, you'll probably have close to $400,000 worth of carryover money. Should be a huge pool. Woodbine Mohawk Park on December 22nd, and Foil the End's going to be there. Good luck.